So today I thought I'd do a quick seedling progress video. All the details of all the varieties and things that I've got growing you can find in the description down below, and I do have a weekly newsletter as well which goes through everything that I'm sowing, everything that I'm pricking out, planting, etc. So yeah, that's the best way to keep in touch really with what's going on. So I'm just going to go through the greenhouse. I'm just going to go top down basically. So right at the top we've got the tomatoes. They're coming on really nicely. I'm really pleased with these plants, looking really strong. Need watering every day, sometimes twice a day, because obviously they're in fairly small hanging baskets, but there's a lot of tomatoes on here, so I think I'll definitely be eating tomatoes in May. And then we've got strawberries, got loads of ripe strawberries. I've been eating those for about a week and a bit now, so I'm pretty pleased with those. I'm going to try even earlier strawberries next year, so yeah, it's been really nice to have an abundance of strawberries all through April. Then next layer down really, I've got mainly my brassicas down here. So I've got Tuscan kales, red cabbages, curly kales, Brussels sprouts, calabrese and colettes mainly down here, some cauliflowers and bits and pieces. So these are the ones I sowed middle of March, and yeah, I'm pretty pleased with the progress. They've grown really strongly. I'm going to be planting them out. Let me look at the date now. Yeah, in about 2 weeks time I should think. And yeah, I've just potted them on actually, so they're quite a nice size. I think they're just about perfect for planting out in early May. Some people plant out earlier than that, but I think if I was to find like early May, about the 10th of May, 14th of May, something like that is about perfect. In this middle segment here, I've got all of my early tomatoes, second early tomatoes rather. So these are my first earlies up here, and then I've got my second earlies here. These are the ones that are going to go in the polytunnel. And then I'm just about to sow actually the ones that are going to grow outside, and I'm planting those out sometime in early June, something like that. And then I've got my second early peppers, and they're looking quite nice as well. A little bit cramped I think in these small modules, really need potting on, but I really don't have any space to put them, so yeah, I just have to live with it being in there. And then here I've got my spare peppers, spare first early peppers. So these are basically the same batch that I've got planted out here, and to be honest, they're not looking too bad. You know, I'm quite happy with them. I think I'll probably be able to keep these going and plant these out sort of the middle of May, something like that, under some of my low tunnels. But these, they're just looking that little bit stronger. It's still reasonably cold in this greenhouse, so it's about 10 degrees centigrade at night, because I do have a little heater in here, which has meant limited fruit set. I've decided this year that I'm not going to rush the peppers, so I'm going to be quite happy to have nice big strong plants early May, and then hopefully about early May they'll start setting fruit, and so we'll probably be harvesting sometime in June. And then I've got my tomatoes in tubs. So these have grown. These are the same batch as these in the hanging baskets, but they're about a third extra in terms of size. So quite a bit bigger, quite a few more flowers. But if anything, the foliage on these is too dense. So these are quite nicely spread out, lots of different stems spread out well. So lots of airflow through them, relatively easy to pick the actual tomatoes off them. But these really crowded, loads of different stems all intercrossing with each other and things like that. So yeah, in some ways I actually prefer these, and I'm very happy with the size of the trusses. You know, often at this time of year when you grow really early tomatoes, the truss size is really small. But in this case, the truss size looks really good. So I think I'm hopeful I'm going to get a really nice crop off those. So anyway, that's the peppers and the tomatoes down here. And so these are my first earlies. these are my main crop really, peppers. So pretty happy with all those. I've forgotten the shelves, so up here I've got a few more peppers, and then along here we've got celery, celeriac. I've actually got some ochre, which I'll be planting out again after the last frost date, which for us is about middle of May, something like that. Got some celery, got quite a lot of celery planted out. Got a few spare tomatoes, these are doing okay. And lettuce up there, that's looking really nice. Obviously I've got a lot of lettuce all over the place that we're harvesting at the moment. I'll just show you a harvest just so you can see the kind of things that we're harvesting right now, and certainly no hungry gap here. So I always think, you know, one of the things is that when you grow a lot of early crops like I do, it's important not to compromise your main crops, your summer crops. You know, you really don't want to sort of have an abundant-ish spring and then a bit of scarcity in summer. So it's important to get the balance right between each of the seasons, really, making sure you're self-sufficient in each season, and none of the seasons are being compromised for the others. So in the corners, I did have trees here. Those trees are outside now, so I've got an apricot and a peach. They're quite happy outside. And these, I've got my early French beans. Not quite sure yet what I'm going to do when they get to the top of these poles. I'm kind of hoping that that's going to be sometime in May, middle of May, and I can move them outside at that point and just pinch off the tips and just give me, you know, 2 or 3 weeks of early harvest of French beans. And here I've got my early, second early cucumbers. And I just put those in yesterday. Looks like they've survived being planted out. And I've got much further on cucumbers in the conservatory, which are looking really nice, and hopefully they're only 2 or 3 weeks away from harvest. And then at this end, more cucumbers and 2 courgettes in the corners there, and those corners where the peas were. The peas are outside now in the rest of the garden, and there obviously peas are quite happy outside in April, probably happier outside than they are actually in the greenhouse. So that, I think, is almost it. I've just got a few other seedlings, melons mainly, and climbing squash, early climbing squash to go in the greenhouse, a few extra tomatoes and things like that, but not much else really. Pretty much everything is in the greenhouse this year. Haven't got hardly any seedlings on the allotment, which has made it so much easier for me to look after everything. All I've got is just a few little seedlings hardening off outside there. I've got some leeks, some lettuce, some spinach, some peas, and the yakon actually, which are just starting to break surface. If you've never grown yakon, highly recommend it. Absolutely amazing tuber to be eaten in winter, and super healthy, very unusual in terms of its sort of texture. It's like a crispy pear. Some people call it a ground apple, but I think it's more like a crispy pear. Really lovely, slightly sweet, and no carbohydrates in it. It's all undigestible fibre, so it's really good for the gut as well. Anyway, that's me done. My name's Steve. This is the Seaside Kitchen Garden and Allotment channel, and do take a look down below. You'll find links to everything down there. See you soon.